go ahead and click record. All right, you guys. Today I have with me Jacob Babnick. He goes by Babs. I was recently on his podcast, The Babs Experience. So now I'm having him on my podcast, Let's Vibe. I'm super excited to have him on here today. We actually connected through a Twitter DM. So we'll talk a little bit more about how all that came to be. But welcome to the podcast, Jacob.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to do this again. I had a great time on mine. I'm excited to be on the other end of the podcast interview style stuff. So let's get going.
Yeah, let's get going. So like I said, I was on his podcast. I will link that in the description, put it in the show notes, all that jazz, so you guys can go check it out. But on his episode, it was just mainly talking about me. So we're going to get know Babs a little bit more and get to know Babs' life and everything. So if you want to go ahead and get started and do an introduction about yourself.
Yeah, I can do that. So my name's Jacob Babnick. I currently run the page Babs Life. I got my own podcast going. I do that as well as work full time. I'm an avid festival goer. I love the outdoors. Mountains are my go-to when it comes to going outdoors. I love hiking and stuff like that. And yeah, I guess that's what I'm going to go with for my intro.
Yeah, awesome. And so with my guests, I like to start out doing a vibe check. So this is how I start out my podcast, just to kind of check in how we're doing, how we're feeling. And then I'll ask you a couple things that you're grateful for right now, because it's always good to feel good about some gratitude going, and then maybe a goal you're working towards. So how's life been going for you with the pandemic and everything?
Life's been pretty crazy the last couple months for me. I've had a lot of stuff going on. Slowly but surely feels like it's all piecing together. I had to move I actually did have COVID. So I was in quarantine for a while and sick. I got out of that, and then my company that I was with wanted me to move. So then I had to move. And then I had some other personal stuff with family and such going on. So it was crazy for about 2 months there. Back at it though, been doing podcasts, all that again. So it's been great. One of my goals is to hopefully get promoted in the new role that I'm in, get promoted out within about 5 to 6 months. And then also just to keep getting podcast episodes out there, maybe more than one a week, which is what I'm doing currently.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then 3 things you're currently grateful for right
now. Honestly, I am grateful for my friends. I've had some very close friends and some friends that I didn't expect to step up and be there for me during those times. And secondly, I am very blessed and thankful for the job I do have. Like I said, I do this on the side, but I'm very thankful that I'm more able to work. I know it's kind of like a double-edged sword. I'm working, and I've got the chance of getting sick, which did happen. But at this end of the day, I'm very blessed to be working. And lastly, yeah, I'll probably go with my family. I'm pretty thankful for, again, it's been a rough 2.5 months up until the last couple of weeks. So family's been very close knit right now.
now.
I cannot acknowledge them.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. Where are you located at?
I'm located in Tampa, Florida.
Okay.
So
and
down south in the crazy state of Florida.
Yeah. And you moved within Florida, right?
I did move within Florida. So nothing major, but not exactly something I was ideally wanting to do, but anyways, we've done it. We're here now. So ready to hopefully take on the next challenge.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I'm glad you're on the upswing and everything, especially I didn't know you had COVID. That's so crazy.
Yeah, I've kind of have made that very vocal, but yes, I did. I did have it. It was, I had very minor cases and all that, thank goodness. So nothing crazy, but definitely something to take serious because anybody can get it.
For sure. For sure. What do you do for work?
I am doing a sales rep role for a company called TTI, and I'm basically doing just sales and merchandising for their products.
Okay, cool. And did you go to school for that?
I went to school for marketing, and eventually the goal would be to get into their marketing side of things. But the way the company is set up is you have to go through 2 whole positions before you can move up into that role. Okay. Into like more the corporate level stuff. So if I want to go into management or a bigger sales role or marketing, I have to go through these initial 2 positions. And I've already done the one. Now I'm in the second phase. So just buying my time.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I feel like I've heard companies be structured like that. So that's definitely cool. What kind of marketing do you think you'd be interested in doing?
um, for a while I didn't know, but recently I'm just love the social media side of marketing. I think it's such an we've talked about it a little bit on my podcast, but I think it's such an under-tapped market in big companies that I want to go in and basically just change the game on how they do their social media, because I've looked at theirs and they do it, but they're doing it very here and there. I think today they actually did their first live session ever on social media, it seemed like. So that was like a big step to see them do that. But yeah, I just love the social aspect of it. I'm a social person. I
Yeah.
love the whole social media aspect of that and how it can literally change people's lives. With one post, one business referral, one something. I think it's crazy.
Yeah, definitely. With that, what was I gonna say? Are there certain brands that you like to follow that you think are doing really well in social media right now?
It's funny is personally, I don't really follow many brands at all. It's funny that you say that. I really don't. I mean, there's a few rave brands I think I have, but even they don't necessarily do more than post like a picture of their clothing or something like that. So yeah, it's kind of funny. I've noticed some things on Twitter. I've noticed a lot of the fast food places like
Yeah.
intermingling or arguing and talking. So I think that's funny. Um, that's really about it though that I've seen. I do not follow companies. It's very funny. I
Yeah,
would love to do it their social media, but me personally, I'm like, it's not worth my time.
yeah, exactly. I'm the same way. I don't really follow like a whole lot of companies or celebrities. Like I really just don't follow a whole lot of those other than like EDM artists from time to time, like I'll follow.
Actually, that's probably the few people that I do follow that are like celebrity wise. There's a very, very select few. And then I follow like I guess some politicians. Like I followed Obama. Followed
Yeah,
Obama when he was president. I do follow the current president just because I think when it changes over, I think that's just important something to have. You just so you
yeah,
know kind of what's going on.
yeah,
Uh, but yeah, mainly artists is what I follow celebrity wise. I will say actually now that we're talking about it, there's one artist that I've actually interviewed named Facelift, and he does a phenomenal job on social media. He's constantly posting videos of him DJing, whipping up new songs, and I see a lot of hype about him on my feed.
yeah. I'll have to check him out. What genre is he?
Mainly dubstep,
Okay, yeah, that's probably why I haven't heard of him.
yeah.
I'm into dubstep, but I'm not as tapped in as I am like house music and stuff. But
I understand that dubstep. Believe it or not, I'm wearing the Excision hat right now, but it's not my go-to EDM genre. Believe it or not, I love Lost Lands, I love Excision, but he's not actually my go-to. My go-to would be melodic.
really, yeah.
Yep, I'm what they call like a sad boy, I
Oh,
guess.
you're a sad boy.
I don't think I'm a sad boy, but they definitely, they get that rep for like Millennium and Said the Sky and
Yeah,
Davin and stuff like that. But no, the melodic music's definitely my go-to.
yeah. I definitely saw Elenium. I think yesterday posted or Sad Boys Unite photo. I think on like
Yeah, it was all all of them playing in Denver.
yeah, it
Oh,
was
that was so funny.
funny. So you said that you like the mountains. Are there? This is dumb, but are there mountains in Florida?
Oh God, no! I wish
Okay, I was
there's
like, where?
nothing.
I was
So
like, how does this person like mountains if he?
I know it's so weird. I know we're at literally where I live is like zero. It's
Yeah,
like right at sea level. So, and I'm literally 20 minutes from the beach. I do love the beach. I'm not gonna deny that. But when I go visit the mountains, there's such a different feeling for me that I am just like I want to be here. Like I want to move out west. I want to do all that. Like the mountains to me are just peace. Like they're so big. They make you kind of look at things different. Like, oh, I'm a little bit smaller than I thought. Like the beach, I'm the tallest person on the beach. So it's like I go to the mountains and I'm like, oh, I'm actually like, I'm humbled. I'm humbled. That's the word I was looking for. I'm humbled by how big they are and majestic to me. They're like crazy. So
yeah,
I love going to visit and hiking. There is nothing here in Florida. I think the closest thing we have is this little thing called like Mount Dora, and it's maybe 200, 500 feet above sea level. It's so small. So
yeah.
it's nothing.
What have been your favorite mountains to hike?
I so I really only hiked about three or four that I can think of, but my favorite out of those was I did Gray's Peak in Colorado,
Okay.
kind of spontaneous one summer, and it was a 14,000 foot mountain. and I just about died on the way up. My lungs were not ready for the altitude at all. But I made it up, and the view was just absolutely stunning. I sat there for like an hour. I like all my Colorado friends. I was like, we're sitting here, like I'm not moving. Like
Yeah.
I'm absorbing this because I don't know when the next time I'll be able to hike is. But I have a bucket list of mountains that I want to go and hike.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna start making some moves for those. So
Yeah, my favorite, I don't know if I told you, I'm originally from Arizona, but we have a lot of mountains there. So I've really enjoyed Sedona, if you've seen any photos of those ones.
no, I'm
They're
gonna
like
definitely
red
look some up, man.
rocks. Yeah, you have to look them up because they're absolutely just gorgeous. That was like my place to go to. Like if I was stressed out in college, stressed out at home or something, like I would just take a day trip up to Sedona, and
That's
it's just
awesome.
so
I'm
peaceful
so
and
jealous.
stuff. It's like
It's
the best.
funny. It's so funny to me that in Arizona, I like forever thought it was just desert. Like
Yeah.
literally within the last two, like literally in last 2 years, I heard about the mountains there, and I was like, wait, what is going on? There's mountains. So it's
Mhm.
crazy. That's awesome. Though. I wish I would move there too.
Yeah,
That
a
was
lot of
awesome.
people always think it's flat, but like in Arizona, you can experience all four seasons basically in the state. Like you stay down south, it's summer, fall. But if you go up north, you can experience like winter, much cooler weather, stuff like that. It's a lot of people don't know about that.
That is awesome. Yeah, I know. I know it's become like a huge place for like people to go during the winter and stuff, which I didn't know until recently too. I had family that was like, "Yeah, we're not going to Florida anymore. We're going to Arizona." I was like, "Oh,
Yeah,
okay."
snowbirds.
So yeah, love them down here.
Yeah, so you said that your favorite subgenre is melodic, dubstep, right? Or like melodic music.
Melodic trance, maybe. Definitely Seven Lions is like the poster child. Seven Lions and Millennium are like the two poster childs I would go to,
Yeah.
saying they're my top two DJs within EDM and within that genre. Yeah, so
Okay.
melodic
Who would you
trance.
say is like your top five? So you said Seven Lines and Millennium.
Top five.
Hard.
Yeah, Seven Lions, Millennium. I gotta throw Excision in there as of recently. And then I love Zed's Dead
Oh yeah.
and how they just can do so many different sounds in one set, and they have their genre, but they always have stuff that's without it. And then I'm gonna go I'll go Wooly, I guess, for my fifth. I think he snuck in there. Fifth's hard because there's a lot of DJs I like,
Yeah.
and but I've been listening to a lot of Wooly, and same type of thing. He can go between very hard dubstep and very soft melodic, so I like that he can do that.
Yeah, Wooly's super cool. He's definitely on the come up, I feel like the past couple of years. I saw him Electric Forest 2019, I want to say, for the first time, and it was so good. He was
Yeah,
super early in the day though. I wish he was later at
mhm.
night to see like the lasers and visuals a lot better, but he was super good.
I think once he develops his visuals, he'll be a night like in the night again. But that's the only thing I have noticed. The last couple times I've seen him, I saw him at Forbidden, this 2020, and then at Lost Lands, and yeah, that was something I noticed was like he's got the music, he's got the crowds. Now he just needs to up those visuals, and sure enough, he'll be playing at night anytime soon.
Yeah, definitely. When did you start listening to EDM?
Um, I really have always listened to it. I wasn't my number one genre. I really got into it about 2017, and I
Okay.
would say the summer of 17, to be honest. So I'm freshly new,
Yeah.
barely really new to the scene, I guess. But I've always liked it. Always had Skrillex, always had J Wolf. Trying to think of some of the others, and I had a lot of like on SoundCloud. I had always used it for EDM and EDM remixes, so I always had SoundCloud there, and it would just put stuff on. But I can't pinpoint an exact time besides like 2017 is when I really dove into it, and it was like
Yeah.
this is my number one genre now.
Yeah. And was that around the same time like you went to your first event or show or something?
Yes. Yes, I went to my first show summer of 2017. I had always been into EDM, so I wanted to go to a festival. I didn't know what to expect, didn't know anything, and I went to SMF on like a very like last minute plan and just like
Yeah.
let's just go, and we just went.
Was that the year it rained or was that the year after?
Um,
I think that might have been the year after.
it definitely rained the year after, but I also, to be fair, it might have rained that year too. I only went the second day. I literally, when I tell you, like, decided like I'm gonna go, it was like Sunday morning. It was like, okay, let's go, and we just went that afternoon.
Gotcha.
Um,
I think it was 2018 where it rained and got canceled the second day, so it wasn't the year that you went then.
oh yes, you're right. That was the year. Yes, you're thinking of the right year. Yeah, 2018.
Yeah. And what did you think of when you went on that first day or SMF Tampa?
Um, I didn't know what to expect. I'll definitely say that. I will say I think I got very, very lucky with the lineup I saw. And it started out kind of shaky. We saw like Yellow Claw, and then it went. Then there's an artist I don't remember, but then it was Elenium, Midnight, or Elenium, Snails, and then we ended with Above and Beyond.
Oh,
So it was honestly, like, again, like when I tell you I like melodic and all that, I did like melodic at the time, and it was like amazing to see Elenium, part of Snails, and then all of Above and Beyond, and it was just
yeah.
like perfect. So it was literally like the perfect lineup in a sense in my head, because I got to see that genre I super loved, and it was just, as loud as could be, lights, everything, visuals, like just all in my face, and I was like, I love this music. I love singing it live. It's great. But no, it was awesome. It was an awesome feeling, and I was immediately hooked. Not gonna lie.
Did you have had all your friends gone to stuff before and you just kind of hopped in with them, or was it all their first time?
Um, One of them, it was not her first time. She had gone to a lot of stuff. She was a year older than me. Actually, I am the youngest person in that group, so everyone was a year older than me. Two of them I know for sure had gone to stuff, and I think the other two, it might have been their first as well. But they did have the previous day of the festival before I went in.
Got it. Got it. Yeah, that's
But
awesome.
yeah, it was a fun time. I
Yeah.
can't.
And then after that,
It,
we just started going to more and more.
yeah, it was after that we had planned for. I think EDC Orlando is the next like thing in Florida, so we planned to go to that. We got a big group, went to that, and then from there we took like a break till summer. I think did a bunch of shows, did a break till summer, did SMF again. I did Spring Awakening with some friends, and then yeah, the ball just kind of started rolling more, going to
Yeah.
more and stuff like that. So
Yeah. So you've done Chicago, being where Spring Awakening is. You've done Lost Lands. Have you done anything else on West Coast or anything down south for
um,
you guys?
sorry about that. The farthest I've gone west is New Orleans. I went for Buku.
Okay.
I haven't been able to make it anywhere else yet. I've been really wanting to, but during college, it didn't really work out to pay for flights, a hotel, and stuff like that. Oh wait, I am so sorry. That was stupid. I went to UDC Las Vegas.
Oh, no.
I don't know how I could forget that.
How could you forget that?
I went to UDC Las Vegas literally last year, so that's the farthest west I've gone. But so yeah, festival wise, I've been to SMF, EDC Orlando, Forbidden Kingdom, EDC Las Vegas, Buku, Spring Awakening, Imagine, and then Lost Lands. And then the couple of those are repeat ones where we went, 2 to 3 years in a row. Um, yeah, so that's kind of where I didn't travel as much because I started going to some of the, again, like when I found them, I really liked them.
Yeah, for sure. So you've definitely been in like the Florida rave fam then. I haven't been to any Florida festivals just yet. How would you describe like the Florida rave scene or the Florida festival scene, like that type of fam?
Well, it's Florida, so we have a reputation to uphold. I would say we're definitely a little wild. No, I'm just messing around. But there is definitely a certain level of like, uh, what's the word? Like a certain level of just hype and stuff that goes around in them. And um, I know like Forbidden Kingdom, it's very small but it goes very hard. And I know that is something that attracts a lot of the more dubstep people. And EDC Orlando is huge compared to all the others, maybe besides Ultra. But EDC Orlando is getting to where it's just big, and it's making all sorts of people come. I had tons of friends that came from out of state and stuff like that. So I think we definitely bring the party. Not gonna lie, because it is Florida, but yeah, I think the scene is good. There's a lot of great people. You meet a lot of great like I said, you meet a lot of great people that are nice, but everyone's definitely got that little wild side in them because it is Florida.
That's good to know. I wanted to go for Okeechobee, but then Cross, which is in San Diego, was that same weekend, and I'd been wanting to go to Cross for so long. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to Cross this year. I'll go to Okeechobee next year. So we'll see if that happens. What did you think about like the differences between EDC Las Vegas and EDC Orlando? Did you prefer one over the other, or did you kind of like both the experiences?
Yeah, they're both very unique in their own way, even though they tend to, Insomniac tends to kick off their quote unquote festival season with EDC Las Vegas. They come out with the stages, designs, and stuff there. Now, the only thing I will say that they did change up this past year is that the circuit grounds was different at EDC Orlando than it was for EDC Las Vegas. So I don't know why they switched it this year. I'll tell you for a fact, I thought the circuit grounds at EDC Orlando this past year was phenomenal. I mean, like way better than the Vegas one overall, just production, way it looked, everything. Um, but generally speaking, they tend to do the same stuff at both. EDC Orlando is a little bit smaller, definitely a little bit smaller. They cut the stages down to like, usually there's like 4 portions of it. I don't know how to explain it exactly, but like there's usually like the center piece with, the energy, the people on it. Don't know what they're called. I totally drawn a blank. But there's definitely like that centerpiece, and then there's 2 pieces on the side in the EDC Orlando, whereas Vegas would have 4. So it's a lot bigger at Vegas. Vegas has by far better fireworks. The only thing I would say is like for a good first EDC Orlando was definitely a good first EDC event. Not as crowded, and you get a big feel for how EDC works.
Yeah.
Definitely same vibe and all that. I will say, for those that do go to EDC Orlando, keep your belongings on you. Wear a fanny pack, wear a backpack. There are people, because it's Orlando, that will come to just pickpocket people. I've gotten my phone stolen. I've got my backpack stolen.
Oh my
And
God.
then I mean, obviously I set the backpack down and it got taken, but
Yeah. Still.
besides the point. But that would be my only advice for those that do go to EDC Orlando, is that's kind of known, at least for Florida wise, we know like you got to be kind of careful.
Yeah. Yeah. What did you think about your first EDC Las Vegas experience overall?
So it was amazing for starters. I talk to people about it, and I really mean when I say this, I don't really have the words to describe it yet.
It's still
Been a year,
wasn't
and
said.
I'm still like, wow, I was there. Like I see the videos and the after videos, and I'm like, I was there. And I just look at it. So I'm going again next year, and I'm going to figure it out from there.
Did you
But
camp or do a hotel, or what did you do?
we did a hotel. We did a hotel the first year. I can't speak for camping. I can tell you from a hotel standpoint, we had no problem. We rented a car. We all just piled in the car. We had a DD. Someone drove us home. It was perfect. Didn't have any issues at all with that.
That's awesome. That's really great. I did my first year, I did hotel, and then we did the shuttle. This was back in 2017, and the shuttles were awful. After that, they kind of revamped the shuttle system, so it's gotten a lot better from what I've heard. And then 2018, we did an Airbnb and did a driver. So we had our friend drive, and we did the premier parking. Did you guys do general or premier parking?
I think we just did general, to be honest with you. I didn't. This was one of the first events in a while. Like I didn't really have any involving with the planning.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm usually like the planner and like the dad of the group, and I kind of just like took the back seat on that one. So they all had it all figured out, and I just was there.
Yeah.
Which was
That's
nice.
good. And now you're more of the rave dad and the planner of the group.
I definitely am the rave dad of the group. There's no doubt about it. We had a lot of people in our group. I think our group's pretty much kind of broken up now for reasons, but our group was a lot of people that were first time ravers that we took to festivals. So I was kind of always there as the rave dad, making sure they're good, making sure they're hydrated, making sure they've got the stuff they need.
Yeah.
I've even had it where a couple of them are like, "Hey, I want to like walk around and get out of the crowd for X and Y reason," and I'm like, all right, let's go. And I take them out. So all sorts of stuff. Um, everything like that.
Yeah, yeah. I'm the same way. I'm the rave mom of the group. Our fam was pretty big, and it still is pretty big. We just haven't been able to go to stuff together because we've all kind of like dispersed and moved and stuff like that. But
Yeah, it makes it hard when everyone starts growing up.
yeah, exactly. So you asked me this on your podcast, what is my favorite festival and what is my best festival? So I'm going to ask you back the same. What's your favorite and what's your best?
Dang. I had such a good time at all of them. It's
I
so hard.
know.
I gotta go with my favorite being Lost Lands. There's that Lost Lands vibe to me was just unmatched. Made me go back a second year, made me buy my ticket for the third year. So I'll probably be continually going to Lost Lands. For my best, hmm, my best would either be Spring Awakening or EDC Orlando this past year, and that's very close for me to tell. Both were with different people and different experiences. One, like in Chicago, it was just me and my boys. It was just for me and my guy friends. We drove up, with just the guys, and EDC Orlando was our whole group, and both were a lot of fun in their own ways.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. It's definitely hard to pinpoint stuff like that, especially when you have like a good group that you like bond with and stuff and
Yeah,
have like,
I could almost say my best was Lost Lands too, because just both years were just so
yeah,
phenomenal. Like it's just like I can remember like day 3 of Lost Lands the first year we went, and it just being like straight up one of the best days ever. Like it was my then girlfriend and I was like 1 year. We had a great time. We were at the festival. We were just good vibes with everybody else. So it was just like a very all around and great experience at the time. Something I definitely look back on. I'm like, that was awesome.
yeah, yeah. That's how I feel about. I know I said Holy Ship was my best one on the podcast, but then I
Yeah.
like think in that aspect, like Coachella 2017 and EDC 2017 with like my friends because it was all of our
Mhm.
first times at EDC and Coachella that it like I
Right.
think about those all the time and like Porter Robinson's one of my favorite all-time artists like ever. And at Coachella, he did Shelter Live with Maddie on for the last time, so that was super special. And then at EDC 2017, I got to see Worlds live, and so those two are always like, dang, those are so great with all my friends. We all were just like loving on each other and just so
Yeah.
happy.
Oh, it's great. I mean, it is. It's such a fun time when you're with your close friends. It is. It just I can just remember Spring Awakening, not to go on a tangent, but I can remember Spring Awakening. It was just, like I said, it was just me and my guy friends. So, which was, we don't always do that, but we did. We're like, we're doing a guys trip. We're like, guys trip. Yeah. So we did it. And I remember because again, I'm usually dad of the group, and I'm not gonna lie, like a lot of the people we brought in were like a lot of the girls that were in our group were their first time raves. So we're obviously us guys are very like, kind of protective, like yeah, they're in our group, like we're not, no one, get away from them, like kind of thing. So when they weren't there, we were just like running around, like just having a great time, like so it was just this fun experience. And I remember there were 2 or 3 artists that weekend where we went to them, and we didn't know what to expect. That was the first weekend we saw Zed's Dead, and I remember being like, I'm going to see Zed's Dead live, I should say. And so I was like, all right, we saw Zed's Dead. That was awesome. The next day I was like, hey, or no, the next day we met some random people, and we were talking to them at the beginning of the day, and we were like, all right, well, we'll see you around. And then we ran into them like 5 hours later,
Oh my
and
gosh.
the girl was, you know, she was hype, of course, and she was lit, and she was like, "You're coming with us to Big Gigantic," and
Oh,
we were like, we swear to God, that's not where we were going. We were
yeah.
not going to go to that. We were not going to go see them at all, and we were like, you know what, whatever. Let's just go for a little bit, and then we stayed the whole set, and it was. We have like a picture of all of us guys like in a row, like chilling, like looking at the thing, and it was like that was. We remember like we got home, we were on the train ride home, we were like, that was the best set like ever. Like we've never seen anything like that. Like we never saw the live music with the EDM. It was just a whole new like whoa.
Yeah.
And then day 3, I I was already a Seven Lions fan, hadn't seen him live yet, and I none of them knew at the time who Seven Lions was. And I was like, we're going. And they were like, what? And I was like, that can't be that good. And I was like, no, we're going and we're watching a set. And then I just remember halfway through the set, like one of them was like we're all bouncing around having a good time. Then one of them just turns to me and was like, this is so great. Like just like face was just like in awe. And I was like, I knew it would be good.
Oh, I love that. Are there
Yeah.
any other sets like that that still stand out to you to this day?
Um, Millennium, when I first saw him, by
Mm.
far stood out like, wow. Slander, EDC, Orlando 2017. I have that like on my SoundCloud and I play that still to this day. Like when I'm going to the gym and stuff, I'm like, this is nuts. This is bananas.
Yeah.
Um, Grizz live at Buku last year. Because again, that was something I'd never seen Grizz, and his vibe was just unmatched. And then I can kind of remember Lost Lands like Excision last year, the 2 hour set. I remember me and we met this kid named Will. He was by himself at the festival. He flew in from Montana, which is
Oh my God.
crazy. He was like, yeah, I'm just by myself. I'm at Quiet Camping. And we were like, dude, you can hang with us the rest of the night.
Yeah.
And he did. And the 2 hours, the 2 hour set, it was like an hour in. I remember me and him were like on the middle rail, and like it was literally like a flip of a switch. Excision, just like you could just tell like the last hour like kicked in, and it was a whole nother set. Like it was just, and it swapped. It was just like something clicked, and me and him looked at each other and we were like, oh my God, bro. And like he's somehow like upping his game this next hour, and it was. So that was another one.
That's awesome. So you started going to festivals around 2017, and then I started my brand vibe with Aid around 2017. So I want to know a little bit more about why you wanted to start diving into content, and become kind of a content creator. And you have this podcast now. What kind of motivated you or inspired you?
Yeah. So I had always been attracted, like I said, to like the social media aspect of things. Yeah, on my personal account that I do have like my old one from like everyone in high school can see me and stuff like that. But so like I had started to kind of do it with that one. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to just leave this one as like as it is. And I'm going to start completely fresh. And I was talking to one of my friends about it, and I was talking a lot about like, I don't know I don't know what I'm gonna do. These are the things I like. I don't know how I'm gonna do it, how I'm gonna incorporate it. And the truth is, he put me on to Gary V,
Okay.
uh, and I listened to like a few Gary V podcasts, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna figure out how to do it, and I'm gonna make it. And so it took me a couple days or so. I came up with the name Bab's Life. Um, the meaning behind that is live yourself for every day. That was the jargon kind of behind it. And I was like, that's what I want the page to be about. I want it to be me living myself for every day. And that's what I want to preach to the world is like, find what you like, work hard for it, and just live you every day. So that's where that came. And I was like, I like that. I'm sticking with that. So then boom, Bab's Life. And I started out with this Instagram, and then slowly made it to Twitter. And then as I started to listen to more Gary Vee, take more advice in, I was like, you know what? I got to get more involved on these social medias and these other platforms. So then I started looking up how to do podcasting. The same friend that put me on to Gary Vee and I had like a long talk about it. And he was like, oh, this is how you can start and blah, blah, blah. And I finally did my first podcast episode. It took me literally like a month and a half to build up the courage to just sit in front of the mic and do something. And I only did like 10 minutes. And
Yeah.
I was like, I remember like finishing, I was like, oh, I did it. Oh, I did it. And I was like sweating. I was like, I did it. And then it still after that, I posted that first episode. And then it took me like another 3 months to like just work up the courage to do the second one. But once I breached that, I was like, all right, I'm ready. And I just fully dove into it. I really, really started picking up my game, I would say late December 2019 or January is when I really just like I went all in. Like I had graduation money, I had money I had saved up from school because I worked full time. I worked pretty much full time during school, so I put that money and like bought mics, bought everything. And that's when I really dove in and started like just pumping out stuff and really posting every day and all that. So it's been a little bit of a rocky start, but now I'm like kind of in the swing of things. So
Yeah. Yeah. I was telling him before this podcast, I was like, he needs to show me what he's got going on because my whole podcast setup is a mess. It's not a mess, but I have a microphone that like my friends gifted me and that kind of broke apart. But now that I'm like moving into a new place, I'm like, I need to get a nice little podcast setup.
no,
Um,
it's yeah. I mean, truth is like my first couple, and I have the videos of them too, and I just don't put them on YouTube. But I was like I was living at home still because I hadn't figured out like what I was doing, and my job didn't start yet, so I had no money.
mhm.
And I'm like in my dining room, and like behind me is like this open, like you can see my backyard, like you could see
Yeah.
literally people like walking behind the house and stuff. So I'm like, I can't record these anymore. Like these are so bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to work up towards it. And so I think that's great that you mentioned like how it was hard to do your first one and just sit down and do it. Because I always tell people like your first anything is gonna suck. Like point blank,
Oh
it's
my
just gonna
God.
be rough. Like first podcast episode, first YouTube video, like all of it, it's gonna feel awkward. It's gonna feel unnatural. But then as you get in the groove of it and you get in the habit and start getting consistent, then you start to like understand like, oh, I actually can like I can do this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I agree wholeheartedly. I think, and that's the whole thing. It's like I listened to something to Gary Vee, and he just said something so simple of like the best time to start. The best time to start was yesterday, so the second best time is today. And I
Mm,
was like, I saw that, I heard it, and I was like, I remember just being like, I gotta do this right now. I gotta do this right now. I can't keep putting it off because I was doing that. I was very skeptical and very putting it off. Like I wasn't even, on my social medias, I wasn't posting every day. Or if I was, I like kind of took it half-heartedly. And then, like I said, January came around and I was like, I've got 2 months before I start my job. I gotta just like dive in as best as I can. And started doing podcasts every week, started reaching out to people, started posting, started commenting on stuff like crazy. Like it like consumed me
yeah.
for 2 or 3 months, but I'm not opposed to how it went. It's going great so far.
Yeah. So you said that you want to start hopefully doing more than once a week for the podcast. You want to kind of
Hmm.
work up towards that?
Yeah. So my podcast, I try to make it a little bit unique. Yes, it focuses on EDM, but I also have like just guests that I personally find interesting.
Yeah.
Like obviously we talked about marketing the whole time or a majority of the time on ours. And that had nothing to do with EDM. It just had something to do with something I'm interested in.
Hmm.
So that I always feel like gives me a little bit of flexibility is because I can get guests that are EDM centric. I can also get guests that are just, I think are interesting people and might have something interesting to say. I mean, I've done plenty of podcasts with just my friends. Like I've got some
Yeah.
friends that I'm like I have a buddy who's a mechanical engineer and I've had him come on twice and I'm like,
Yeah.
yo, keep coming on because this is crazy stuff you're talking about. Like I have no idea what this is. So yeah, the goal would be, if I can do more than one, if I can do two, maybe three, whatever it is. But as long as I'm doing one, I'm not gonna be mad at myself. If I don't
Yeah.
do any, I get mad.
Or you said you have a YouTube channel. Are you just doing your podcast footage on there, or do you plan to do like other content on there?
So that is something right now it is only podcast content. And I'm working as well as getting the clips from the podcast. That's like my next big thing. I'm very behind on that. Again, I had crazy stuff happen the last 2 months. So I am like very, very behind, unfortunately, on my clipping. But that'll be the next thing is like getting that situated to where I'm caught up. So when I do a podcast, I can just sit afterwards, clip it, and then have those videos ready. Um, I did want to do like festival recap videos.
Okay.
Hard to do now.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about the videos I do have, posting some of them, looking into more of the law side of it. I know there's tons of copyright laws, and I don't want to get.
Yeah.
I think there's like what is it like three X's or something on your profile,
Yeah.
and
I haven't gotten any, and I've used copyright music, so it's been fine.
some of them. I mean, yeah. So what I've read is like you can do that and they might not mark it off against you, but they might put their own ad on it.
Yeah. So like UMG, Sony, whatever, they'll like put ads on your video and make money off your video, basically. Um,
Right, right. And just that specific video. So in a way, I'm almost like, maybe I should start doing that, because I've got some crazy videos of like Excision, and like the first time they played Excision Back to Back Millennium. I've got
yeah.
videos from that, and I've thought about putting out when they first premiered the song Feel Something. Like I've
Hmm.
got that on video, so I'm like, maybe I'll put that up, and I don't know. We'll just see. I mean, I don't want to get in trouble, so that's part of it. I'm kind of like on the
Yeah.
yeah.
Sometimes I like if it's like a video I'm like shuffling to or like footage from a festival, I'm kind of always like, but I like the clip. Do I want to keep the clip? Do I want to delete the clip? But most of the time I just post it because even right now I'm not even making that much on AdSense because I'm not getting as much views.
All right.
Because I don't have as much festival stuff right now. But yeah, it's kind of a thing to assess. I was just curious what you kind of see as like the vision for like moving forward with Bob's life and everything that you think.
Yeah, I mean, the truth is, the real vision for me is with the podcast. I love doing this stuff.
Yeah.
Like this right now, even though it's your podcast, I'm like, this is awesome. I'm loving this. So I love getting to just sit down and talk with people and having those interesting and long conversations that we don't normally get to see. And my goal would be to have all walks of life guests to bring in different perspective. Like I said, just different perspective on stuff. I mean, like one of the best episodes I had recently was with with a close friend that we were, for the last hour, we talked about, navigating college. And I think that's like, that's a topic that is so just not talked about. It's like, okay, you're going to go to college and then you're going to figure it out. And it's like, oh, okay, you could do that and you might end up, $300,000 in debt,
Yeah.
or you can. So we, like, that's all I'm saying is we talked like an hour and a half about tips and stuff for people to, like, do this, try these classes, try as much as you can your first 2 years, because then you can realize like, oh, I hate this, I hate chemistry. Okay, so I hate chemistry, so maybe the major I picked isn't for me. And then I really like psychology. Okay, maybe I'll do psychology. And then, like, when you expand your first 2 years, you have a better sense of figuring out what you want to do and not wasting years and money, type of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. Um, I just lost my train of thought.
I know I went on like a tangent there, but you were asking the vision of the Babs life. And
Yeah.
truth is like, yes, I love festivals. I definitely want to do festival content. It's definitely something. Again, the whole life thing is live yourself for every day. So I'm like, I'm going to do what I'm doing. And if people like it, they like it. But I'm going to try to be as authentic me as possible with all of it. Um, so, I'm sure there'll be content festival videos that I'm hoping to put up where I mash up videos I take at the festivals, festival recaps, travel videos and travel recaps. Like I said, I'm probably going to start doing more hiking and stuff pretty soon. So get some mountain stuff in there just because I like it. Um, and then, in an ultimate goal, the life brand as a whole would be something I'm looking into starting already and getting the ball on that. Just because I think that's a brand a lot of people could, like I say, living yourself for every day. I mean, there's a lot of people that want to find themselves and want to live their life to the fullest. So that'd be something as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think that's such a good mentality to have. And I think I'm the same way, very similar. Like I have Vibe with Aid, which started out as music festivals, but even with my podcast, I try to go into different things that I'm interested in and whatnot and talk to different people. So I think we're kind of on the same wavelength there, which is really cool to get to
Yeah.
connect.
I looked at your website. I'm sorry. I looked at your website though, and you have like tons of articles and blogs about, your vibe check, your mental health, battling this, what to do after a break. Like you have everything, involved in a vibe type thing. And I think that's great. I love that. And that's what you're saying. We're on that kind of the same level there with like, we want to just be authentic and like put stuff out there, not only it's for ourselves, but to help people and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm super glad we got to connect, and this has been super awesome to get to know you too. And we do have an exciting thing in the works that we need to announce eventually.
We could just go right now if you
Yeah,
want.
you want to go for it?
Let's just go for it right now and announce it. You get to go. It's your podcast. I don't want to
Yeah.
be
So
picky.
Jacob and I had talked after the podcast that we recorded together last week. And I thought it would be super fun to do a crazy rave festival story time, and get our followers to submit your guys' stories, crazy stories, embarrassing stories, whatever it may be. And we want to do an episode on it. We'll do an episode on mine, we'll do an episode on his, and kind of see where this goes. We'll set up a Google form submission for you guys. You can post it anonymously. That way you don't have to give any details away.
Yeah.
We'll put the link down for you guys in the description, and we'll start promoting that and everything. But we're super excited. I think it's going to be super fun for us to kind of read your guys' stories together and kind of have fun with it.
Yeah, I'm looking at this as one, I'm so thankful that you included me on it because I think it's such a great idea. I'm like super excited to just read these stories, and not only like I want to read them in like a funny, serious way, you know, but then I want to talk about them and just go balls to the wall and like I'm talking about it. And then we've also got my perspective and your perspective. I like the fact that, you know, someone I mentioned the idea to was like, you know, I like the fact that you're going to have like a guy and a girl do it. You've got each perspective of like what this other person's saying. So, you know, I'm really excited for it, and I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be, I think it'll be fun.
Yeah, I think the guy and girl perspective, and then also, even though I'm 2 years ahead of you, I started raving in 2015, which was a little bit of a different time, and then you kind of came in 2017. So we kind of have both the different experiences of like a newer type raver and kind of older school type raver. So I think it'll be super fun.
I agree with that. Yeah, the new ravers get a lot of bad rep, so hopefully I'm not
No,
bringing any bad rep.
no, you don't. You sound like, from what I've heard, we haven't gone to festivals or raves together, but from what I've heard, it sounds like you've had a great mentality about stuff. Like, we've had really good conversations about Plur on your podcast, and just the way you're talking about your friends and your rave fam and stuff definitely seems like you have a good head on your shoulders about things and stuff like that.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, I don't want to talk about myself and whatnot, but that is something I truly try to live by, and something I truly try to get others to live by is that Plur mentality. I've never called it Plur before, but that's the best way to describe it for the EDM world. But just, you know, just living to where you're not causing negative energy in a sense. You're always trying to see the best. You're trying to bring the best out of people. You're never trying to bring people down, even when they talk to you bad or whatnot. I've never bought into that of like, I have to stoop down to that person's level because they deserve it. I just never bought into that. Always be nice. That's all I can say.
Yeah. Be kind of other people. So on that note, oh, do you have one more thing?
Actually, there is something I wanted to say. I'm so sorry. I know. I wanted to say this because I think it should be cleared up. Is so the brand, the LYFE, you know, LYFE is live yourself every day. And as great as that is, I think it's also vitally as important that people understand that there's a way to live yourself every day and not be a total dick, to be quite frank. So that's something I always kind of want to make sure and reiterate. Like, you're living your life, yes, but you're not being rude about it. You're not putting out negative energy. You're living you, and you're helping everyone else around you in a sense as well by living you to the best you can be.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I wanted to plug in there. Sorry.
Oh, you're totally good. I think that's so great. And that as long as you're not harming other people or putting down other people in the process, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Good intent.
Because you could always be a good person, but if you're trying to be a good person, but if you're harming other people or making other people feel bad about themselves, then you're not really doing any good for anyone.
No, you're not. You're not doing any good. Nope. Not at all.
So, well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. If you want to go ahead and plug yourself where everyone can find you so they can give you a follow.
So my Twitter and my Instagram, where I mainly do my stuff, is at @Babs_LYFE, and that's BABS_LYFE. And then I have 2 podcasts going right now, actually. I have the Babs Experience podcast, which can be found on any podcast platform. And I have a new one that we just started called LYFE Thoughts, LYFE Thoughts, with a close friend of mine. Hope you guys can enjoy both of them.
Yeah, that's awesome. I didn't know about the second one, so that's super cool.
It's very new. I actually haven't told like anyone about it, so it's super, super new. This is the first plug we've ever done. Yeah, literally.
Breaking news. Well,
We're
thanks.
3 episodes in, so
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thanks again for coming on, and we will get back into today's episode.
thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Sweet.